Hello and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that takes you through F1's back of the grid teams since 2010, using the Codemasters series of games all the way through to the present day, whenever that may be. And we are now at F1's original night race. We're at Singapore for the 2011 Singapore Grand Prix, and as you can see by all of the green and yellow around and the logos dotted around in front of you, we're driving for Team Lotus, the team that would eventually become Caterham, that would return the name, at least returning in 2010, and the team sadly falling apart just a few years later in what is becoming an increasingly desperate search for points. Now, if you watched the last episode in Italy, you'll know we had some technical issues that sort of meant that the race wasn't part of the championship, but sort of was. Yeah, sure. We qualified really well in Monza, did our introductions, started the race, did a couple of laps, and we had a game crash. On reboot in the game, it decided that we were going to be doing Singapore, so we had to put a race in its place. We still did 50% at Monza, we still had the same rules, we still had the same AI settings, and we came home 17th. But from a 23rd place grid slot, so we made gains, although I feel even starting 11th, we may have found ourselves falling down to that sort of position anyway, because Monza is a power track. Singapore, on the other hand, as you can possibly see from the TV screen in the corner, tight, twisty street circuit. And this is the OG layout of Singapore. It's got the three apex Singapore sling. You go under the grandstand. There's no, apart from the Raffles Boulevard and the run down into Connaught, which I think is turn 14, or at least is the modern day turn 14. There aren't really any massive long straights on this circuit, so power maybe not so much of an issue. And we've seen at street circuits or pseudo-street circuits, such as Monaco and Hungary, that DNFs in 2011 are commonplace. We finished 12th in Monaco, a lap down on the top 10, but 12th nonetheless in a very small collection of cars. I think it was 16 finishers, maybe. And we picked up a 14th place in Hungary for similar reasons, DNFs up and down the field. This is a circuit that, I don't know, the AI these days feel like they're a little bit slow here. They're not particularly great around Singapore, especially if the weather changes. So this could be a fun one. But let's take a look at the standings as we go into it. Now, as I explained at the end of the last video, being kicked out of Italy and moved on to Singapore, it still classified results and still put points on people's tables. So these results, or the points you see here, as explained at the end of the last video in Monza, are the ones that we're working with, even if the Monza result, if you're going to sit and pour through the result in Monza and the point standings in the lead up to Monza to see how it differs, by all means, go ahead, pop that in the comments if you so wish for the rest of this season. But these are the points we're going to be working with. We obviously didn't score because it listed us as out of the race and last. So technically we've been outraced by our fellow backmarkers in this career mode, but we haven't because of how we've done the thing. That's going to get less confusing as the season comes to a close, I'm sure. We are still 19th, ahead of Glock, D'Ambrosio, Liuzzi, Cartagena, and Trulli, who's last. Sutil and Pasta Maldonado, the other 0-point scorers. Interesting, in 2010, Jarno Trulli didn't score a point either and finished last. I think the only other person who didn't score a point with him was, I want to say Timo Glock. It was one of the two Virgin Racing cars. So as it stands, Trulli on to replicate his 2010. At the top end of things, Sebastian Vettel moved into the lead after Monza by 10 points over Fernando Alonso, who is in turn 6 clear of Webber, who is in turn 19 ahead of Jenson Button. Button really has pulled himself back into that championship fight, and those four could take it all the way. It's 25 for a win, obviously, and with DNFs aplenty, we might find that by the end of this season, we have a new champion. Mark Webber is our 2010 defending champion, so could find himself under pressure here. Felipe Massa sits behind Lewis Hamilton, both of whom are kind of cut away, but well ahead of Vitaly Petrov, who's 7th, level on points with Schumacher, and fighting for that position with the other Mercedes as well of Nico Rosberg. They're all fairly clear of 10th place Sergio Perez, who's 16 clear of Heidfeld, with Kobayashi, Buemi, Alguersuari, Di Resta, and Barrichello, the point scorers behind him. And in the Constructors, Red Bull lead the way by 81 points, looking fairly comfortable, although that can still be overturned with what's left on the calendar. Ferrari, though, from being comfortably second, have now got Mercedes, breathing down their neck. Just the 11 points behind. Mercedes are in 4th, quite a distance off, but quite a distance ahead of Lotus Renault. It's Sauber, Toro Rosso, Force India and Williams. We lead the back market teams because we've got the best results. In 10th, ahead of Virgin Racing and HRT. So as I said, Singapore is a tough circuit to drive, but it's one that I think the AI aren't particularly great around. And with a different damage model compared to 2010, where you could breathe near a wall and the car would break, we've had damage on the back of other cars, and the only damage that we picked up a little bit in Monaco, and we took a puncture and a pretty big bit of damage in Hungary after spinning. But these cars can kind of take a little bit of a beating in 2011, which really could help in the grand scheme of things, because this is a circuit where you're likely to pick up damage if you're involved in a fight or not. But let's head to practice here in Singapore. Try and reacquaint ourselves with the version with the original Singapore sling in it, and all the other additions that this track has back then compared to now. And while we do, we'll talk about the 2011 Singapore Grand Prix. Round 14 of the season brought the team to Singapore for the annual night race at the Marina Bay Street Circuit. The build-up to the race was marred by controversy, as Red Bull had been accused of violating the resource restriction agreement, the agreement between the teams to attempt to cut budgets, in 2010. This was discovered after an audit into all the teams, with Red Bull being the only ones to violate the agreement. Toro Rosso, Red Bull, Mercedes and Virgin Racing also all fell foul of a curfew inadvertently after team members arrived at the circuit too early, likely due to the nature of Singapore being a night race and the time differential to a normal race weekend schedule. Toro Rosso's Franz Tost was the team member to arrive early, which used up one of their 4 waiver exemptions from the season, while the other 3 teams had their waivers restored after it was found team members arriving early were not directly working with their cars. This race also saw Sebastian Buemi reach 50 Grand Prix, while Vettel reached 50 Grand Prix for Red Bull. The first practice was a chaotic affair after a delayed start due to plastic curbing being dislodged by the earlier Porsche Carrera Cup Asia support race. The first session was reduced to an hour after repairs took longer than expected. When the session began, Webber collided with Timo Glock, ending Glock's participation and causing Webber damage. Kovalainen caught fire in the same spot as he had in 2010, which caused a red flag, and Massa dislodged another curb, exposing a bolt that was securing the curb and causing another red flag. It would be Hamilton who topped the timesheets ahead of Vettel and Webber by the end. The second session saw further circuit repairs beforehand, before Button would stop on track, narrowly avoiding the barriers, and Buemi hit the wall hard at turn 21, though other drivers who stopped were due to mechanical issues rather than accidents. Vettel would top the second session ahead of Alonso and Hamilton. The circuit repairs continued overnight before practice 3, with curbs at turn 3, 7 and 14 removed and replaced with painted curbs, and additional measures put in place to secure curbs at turn 13 and through turn 10, the Singapore sling, with the FIA clarifying acceptable racing lines through 3, 7 and 14. Many drivers found it didn't really affect their laps, though did point out the curb at turn 13 was unnecessary, and the FIA should address the curb at turn 5. It'd be Webber who topped this session ahead of Button and Vettel, meaning that all three sessions had a very mixed up collection of top 3 drivers. Qualifying would, as usual, see the Team Lotus, Virgin Racing and HRT cars eliminated in the first session, though they were joined on this occasion by the Lotus Renault of Italy Petrol, who claims to have been impeded by Alguersuari, but this wasn't investigated after the session. During the second session, Kamui Kobayashi missed the first apex at the Singapore Sling, launching his Sauber into the barrier and causing a red flag while the car and debris were removed. Thankfully, Kobayashi was okay, but would obviously not be able to participate. He would be joined in the drop zone by Perez, both Williams, both Toro Rossos, and Bruno Senna, while Force India had both their drivers in Q3 for the first time since Canada 2010.
You should be okay to stay out.
The final part of qualifying would see a scramble to ensure those participating would have time to run 2 fast laps with a stop in the middle, leading to Hamilton to enact an aggressive move on Massa in the final corner and at the start of their first runs. It would, however, be Sebastian Vettel who would once again take pole ahead of Mark Webber, while Button and Hamilton lined up on the second row ahead of Alonso and Massa. Vettel got away cleanly from the line while Webber fell back to 4th place. Hamilton attempted to get past the Australian but had to back out and drop to 7th, with Massa and Rosberg making contact a little further back, Rosberg cutting turn 2 before ceding the position. Even further back, the HRT of Daniel Ricciardo made contact and had to pit for a new front wing. Hamilton set his sights on Rosberg and Schumacher in the Mercedes ahead, passing Schumacher on lap 4 and Rosberg on lap 5. A few laps later, Glock would crash into retirement at the final corner, but that didn't bring out the safety car. Meanwhile, Webber and Alonso were engaged in quite the battle, both drivers passing and repassing corner after corner until their pit stops. Massa and Hamilton would both pit on lap 12, and Hamilton would immediately attack the Brazilian on the outlap, attempting a pass around the outside at turn 7. But he made contact with Massa, causing both to have to pit again, Massa with a puncture and Hamilton with a damaged front wing. Lewis would then be given a drive-through penalty for his efforts. Battles continued up and down the field through the pit stop phase until a safety car deployed after Schumacher attempted to pass on Perez at turn 7 around the outside, much like Hamilton had done before with Massa. Much like Hamilton, Schumacher couldn't effect the pass and crashed into the back of the Sauber, scattering debris everywhere. Schumacher's Mercedes would retire while Perez would continue on about his race. Vettel would scarper at the restart while Button got stuck behind a group of back markers. Webber would then pull off an outstanding move on Alonso down the inside at the Singapore Sling. The race would settle down thereafter, punctuated by blocking incidents, Kobayashi netting a drive-through for ignoring blue flags, and Kovalainen was released into the path of Button in the pits, though Button would overtake the Team Lotus car on the pit exit. But it would be Sebastian Vettel, who else, that took another victory by 1.7 seconds ahead of Button after both were blocked by traffic in the latter stages. Webber would take 3rd ahead of Alonso, while Hamilton would recover to 5th. Di Resta would take a brilliant 6th place ahead of Rosberg, Sutil, Massa and Perez, rounding out the top 10. How will we fare in the darkness at Singapore? Well, we're back to all dry sessions by the forecast, which means that we're unlikely to get out of Q1, in all honesty. But this layout of Marina Bay isn't as power dependent as the modern one. We still have to go through the triple apex Singapore Sling. We don't turn off and go under the grandstands these days, which is a nice long straight bit of track. So there's a little bit more slowing down, a little bit more being a bit cautious in the middle, which could work out in our favour, perhaps. I'd say the best thing to do for us here is to aim for our traditional 19th spot and see if incidents or shenanigans on track give us the opportunity to gain a couple more spots on the grid.
The guys have fitted a package of upgrades. You should see a big improvement in terms of engine wear.
Engineer Andy giving us the update on upgrades. Unfortunately,
it won't be easy getting out of this qualifying session, but see what you can do.
And then he cuts in again. Unfortunately, the kind of upgrades aren't really going to do us any favours in terms of power or performance, just slightly less worn engine, yes. But practice actually went okay. We did P1, we went out there, we ran some laps, and we ended the session 15th. And it's not like there were any issues with people crashing or anything like that. We were ahead of people on legitimate pace, the likes of Sutil, Barrichello, Maldonado. Does that mean we're going to actually get forward in this particular qualifying session? Who knows? We've been on a decent run, I'd say, since... let's say since just before Hungary. I'd say Hungary... Germany wasn't bad. Hungary and Belgium, Italy as well, qualifying-wise, did quite well. But traffic could become an issue, so let's get out there, run some laps, and see what we can do in this first part of qualifying.
That last lap puts you into 21st.
It's our fastest lap in Q1 then. You can see we're near the end of the session and we're in the drop zone, way down the order compared to normal. Had picked up some damage earlier in the session, so I had to go in and get repairs. Nice and clean and tidy through shares the first few corners and then onto the Raffles Boulevard, keeping it fairly nice and neat entry and exit point before we gun it down this long straight in the middle. Car gets a little light through that kink in the middle, but we are nearly a second up on our best time and 3/10 up on De Resta, who's our target of the edges of the drop zone. Nice and neat through this section, bounce off the curb a little bit, but that keeps us well away from the barriers on exit as we head towards the Singapore Sling. Got to try and keep a fair amount of speed, but bounce across the curbs just like that, as we then use the curb on the inside of 11 to rotate the car, maybe over-rotate it a touch, but we're straight across the Anderson Bridge, still feeling pretty good, nice and neat through the hairpin. Down towards Connaught this turn here with 1.3 seconds up and a 10th up on De Resta. Get a little wide there, car tries to skate away from us, which is going to cost us a little bit of time. Get the angle of attack just right into that chicane. 30 seconds left and we really know we need to keep the pace up. Very wide under the grandstands, but we avoid the wall on entry as we then come into the final couple of corners of this lap. Really cautious, maybe too cautious here. Could have quite easily nicked a few tenths. Round the final corner, will this get us through?
Your last lap time moved you up to 18th. That's the session over for us. 18th on the grid, just what we asked for. Nice.
The team are happy. I maybe could have done a little bit better there, but we finish 18th, top of the eliminated in Q1. I had Barrichello, Liuzzi, D'Ambrosio, Glock, Trulli and Carter-Cayan. 7/10 of a second off Paul De Resta. I don't think we could have pushed any harder. Made some mistakes in that session as well that really cost us, but for only the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, 6th time this season, we don't start in P19, but we join a long list of Q1 eliminations this season regardless. But you can see the pace differential is quite substantial, and you might have seen during the laps there, possibly, I don't know, might have been the lap after my fastest, there were yellow flags out around the circuit. I feel like this could be the kind of place that we might get a safety car or get some shenanigans. But I tell you what, let's cross over to the race, see what happens in Singapore. Here we are then in the garage for the Singapore Grand Prix, and P18, not a bad result. In the grand scheme of things, I think we might have had a bit of better pace if I just managed to get a better lap in. which is obvious, but I seem to just either get wrong lines or clip walls, do damage. It didn't really go well. But we out-qualified an established car, which is the first time in the dry. We've done that since Australia, I think, so way back at the start of the season. And yeah, I think, could have been better, but not a bad place to be. Let's take a look at the grid and we'll have a chat about what we're expecting into this race. It's going to be tough to see. But Sebastian Vettel took pole ahead of Alonso, Webber, Massa, Hamilton, Button, Rosberg, Schumacher, Petrov and Heidfeld. That top 10 fairly static most of this season. Then it was Kobayashi, Perez, Alguersuari, De Resta, Buemi, Sutil, Maldonado, our rival, immediately next to us. Then it's us in 18th, Barrichello, Liuzzi, D'Ambrosio, Glock, Trulli and Kartikeyan. And this is a tough place to overtake. It's a circuit that's not massively power dependent. And during qualifying there were some instances where there were some yellow flags. So I think the AI aren't particularly confident here either. It's all about what we can make up in the first few corners when everybody's concertinaing up. If we can find some space, make some gains, we might be able to sit in front and just defend. So I'm going to go for a fairly cosy 15th place. So only a few spots, we can take those through DNFs if others have issues. But we might be able to get ahead of that and try and just stay in front of it. But I know it's going to be tough either way. But let's get over to the grid for the 2011 Singapore Grand Prix. Vettel on pole, Alonso and Webber with him. Maldonado 17th, you can see us next to him. And then Trulli down behind us. Stars have been good for us. 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5. And away we go in Singapore, and immediately up alongside Maldonado, having to just duck out of it as Sutil was weaving about in front of us. We get caught up behind Heidfeld, but we're okay. And the McLarens go side by side. We're in P7. Button held up by Hamilton. We go round Hamilton. We've also gone round Massa. And amazingly, we're in P4 and alongside Mark Webber. Are we going to get a podium spot by the end of the first lap?
When you're overtaking.
Yes, we are.
Lose places because of a penalty.
We nudge Vettel and we're into second, and I promise you, this is still legendary AI. Everybody just struggling through the first few corners, and we're into second place on the road. Alonso surely isn't going to look a gift horse in the mouth and he's just going to drive away now. We're going to have to try and defend from Sebastian Vettel. Tried that in Germany, it didn't really work. He was on a bit of a comeback through the field. Here though, as we head under the grandstand. All over the curbs. He's been jumped by me. And he's got Hamilton in behind him as well. And we end the first lap in P2 in Singapore. I really just need to calm it down now. Just try and find a rhythm. I know these aren't the guys I'm fighting. Realistically. Much like Germany, as Hamilton gets all out of shape behind us, much like Germany. The lead car is just going to be able to run away because Buemi held up Webber and 2 McLarens ran off, and right now, 5 seconds up the road, it's Fernando Alonso while I'm holding up the rest of the pack. Unlikely I'll remain in front of Vettel for the rest of this race, but if I somehow do, or he trips over me, Fernando Alonso could really have the championship pendulum swing his way. The only DRS opens down the start-finish straight. Don't get one down the Raffles Boulevard like you do these days. Vettel's having a look into the sling, but we'll just squeeze him out. Feel like the AI would have continued sticking his nose up there. In modern games, we both end up in the wall. Not here. Yellow flag further back. Somebody's copped damage or somebody's out, I don't know.
Alonso's the fastest man on the track at the moment.
Wouldn't this be a hell of a way to score my first points of 2011?
The pit crew are ready for you at the end of this lap. Pit this lap.
Long, long way to go here, though. First time Vettel's really been close enough to have a look down here, and still we keep him behind. Pit entry's difficult, so we've got to be careful as well. Want to miss it like we did in Germany, because that cost us a great result. Here I feel it would be much worse as there's another yellow flag, eh? Everybody seems... It's Mark Webber behind us. Has Vettel put it into a wall? Nice and steady into the pits. Massa's gone past Webber. What's happened behind us? Alonso's been in.
Exit now.
And we came in P2. We leave the pits in
You're free to rejoin the
P9.
track. The track is clear.
Then get very wide.
We've given you a new set of option tyres. You've got 3 stops remaining.
Jerome D'Ambrosio in P10 at the moment with pit stops. Barrichello and Massa fighting up ahead of us. We're up to P7. We've had cars out. There's been more cars out. Massive championship news. Vettel, Hamilton, Button, Webber, Massa and Rosberg all out of this Grand Prix. Which means that Fernando Alonso, as long as he finishes, will take the championship lead. But that's both McLarens, one of the Mercedes, one of the Ferraris, both Red Bulls out as well. Did they all just get caught up behind me? Did they really just make a mistake into this section? Because this is likely where the AI might have made an error, as Perez is in. Assume. There's a few cars in the pits. Barrichello running long on the primes off the line.
Toro Rosso has put the prime tyre on Alguersuari's car. The prime tyre.
That's Petrov, Perez and Alguersuari, I guess, seeing as that's who engineer Andy's telling me about. Schumacher in fourth now.
Schumacher should be pitting in the next 4 laps.
Barrichello is going to be coming in at the same time as we come in for our second stop. Because, well, it'd be great for him, it'd be terrible for us. actually in the championship, but we have a really massive opportunity now. I've just got to keep calm, keep getting around the circuit. Avoid the walls, don't spin the car. Right, Alonso's long gone. Unless Alonso retires. We really could be on for a massive result. Alonso's out. Just as I say that, Alonso is out of this Grand Prix.
Next up is one of the McLarens.
Because Barrichello leads this race. What is happening? I said in the pits there might be some shenanigans, there might be some stuff that happens. I was aggressive off the start, but everybody was staying with me. Both Ferraris, both Red Bulls, both McLarens, one of the Mercedes, possibly even somebody else further back, but the AI have really not enjoyed themselves here. I mean, even if we were to fall back, we'd make 15th, no problem. As we bounce off the wall, that's not what we want. No damage though. Schumacher is closing. Barrichello might have played himself into an absolute blinder with his strategy, but he is in, and we know.
The car ahead of you has just pitted and fitted the option tyres. Looks like they're going for a shorter stint.
For the first time since Abu Dhabi 2010, the first time all of 2011, we lead a Grand Prix in the Team Lotus. T128. And we're being chased by a 7-time world champion who didn't score a victory in his comeback. Nearly lose the rear there. But in our universe might actually be gunning for one. Heidfeld's third. Still such a distance to go in this one. I really just need to keep concentration, keep calm.
Pits are clear. Pit this lap.
Points are on the cards here, surely. There's another yellow flag, eh? Gone as soon as it's arrived. Heidfeld's not a million miles behind us now either.
The tyres are quite heavily worn at this stage. Watch the grip levels. Hit in if you need
rear.
to.
Lose it again. Getting into the pits is going to be fairly tricky. Schumacher, Heidfeld and Petrov here all trying to look past me. Schumacher stays out.
We think that Petrov is due to pit soon. He should be pitting within the next 5
Petrov and
laps.
Heidfeld I think also. De Resta I think is coming in. Yep, De Resta is in. Perez is not. So that's cost me some positions. Definitely would have cost me some
now.
time.
The track is clear. Track is clear.
Much like the last stop, we came out.
Fitted you with a new set
We
of
came in
prime
third
tyres.
and
You
came
have
out in
2
ninth.
stops remaining. 2 stops.
Again, leave the pits in ninth. I don't think there's that many cars left in this race either. Put Petrov, Schumacher and Heidfeld all together. There's Heidfeld. He's in the pits. Oh, we jump him. Perez is in as well. We'll get back past them. I think means we should just about get back past Schumacher and Petrov. A podium is possible here. In both Monaco and Hungary, that attritional races are what these teams needed for points. They were never going to get them on pace, and while we demonstrated differently in 2010, haven't been able to do it this season.
Mercedes are gearing up for a pit stop. We're not sure which driver yet.
Mercedes gearing up for a pit stop. They're not sure which driver. There is only one Mercedes left in the race, and that is Michael Schumacher, who's currently in the lead. Schumacher is in. I think he's leaving the pits now, though. Really tight. There is the German. He has done us.
You're coming up on a group of slow-moving cars. Try to pass them quickly.
Michael Schumacher might take a victory here, you know. Wide through the last corner. That's going to cost me some time there.
Estimate that Schumacher will pit within the next 5 laps.
Past Adrian Sutil. Petrov is coming out the pits. Will jump the Russian back into third. Adisswanto leads this race. Losing Schumacher now, so unless Schumacher bins it, he might be on for a victory that I thought was going to be Fernando Alonso's. Staying on the podium would be fantastic, but points really just the aim. Schwari's in, we'll move back into second. Maldonado there in 12th, our rival. The man in 13th is Jarno Trulli. He did have a couple more retirements. Trulli might be on for points. Most, I think, of the top 10 are right behind us. Wide there. Got to back out of it so I'd avoid the wall. Much like Alonso before him, Schumacher is moving away. Oh, we nearly lose the rear.
Okay, the pits are clear. You should consider pitting soon.
Much like the last stint, tyres getting a bit sketchy. Times they're able to hold out maybe just a bit better than the options. Not going to go early again. Keep to plan.
Pit in this lap. Come into the pits at the end of this lap.
Heidfeld's come in. We've got Petrov, Perez behind us. Kobayashi there as well, I think.
We're looking at the wear levels of your tyres and they're heavily worn. If they continue to degrade at this rate, consider pitting.
Petrov following us in. Perez was not. Alguersuari's been in recently. Buemi. Yeah, Buemi goes past, sorry. Petrov is in. We've got Sauber in as well.
Go.
6th place now. Schumacher has also been in, I think.
There's some traffic at the pit
The rest
exit.
at
Watch out as you
Kobayashi.
join the track.
Heidfeld is the man behind us.
We've put a new set of the option tyres on the car. That leaves just one stop remaining. The car ahead is running on the prime tyre. We have an advantage here. Heidfeld should be coming in for tyres within the next 4 laps.
I assume we're on the options now, so we'll go prime to the end after that as I run wide. Really do need to get these to target. Back past Sergio Perez. We're wide. Looks like Kobayashi's now in this fight as well. Heidfeld is really pushing. We're closing on back markers. HRT, I did find it weird how the HRT grew out in front of us when we were in. So Vit Antonio Liuzzi. And wide at the final corner. Maldonado's in 4th, so I think he's yet to pit again. Sutil with the fastest lap of the race.
Fastest man on the track right now.
He's flying behind us.
Lap of the race.
Trying to get these tyres to where I need to get them to. And then we'll go on to the options at the end, and hopefully we can jump a few people
by the
again.
guy behind. Push, push.
Very wide into the hairpin.
The guys have looked at the figures. We think that Heidfeld will be stopping in 3 laps' time. Heidfeld stopping in 3 laps' time.
No, rear end tries to snap. We save it. Bernardo's in the pits here. I think we'll get back past the Williams.
Maldonado's just fitted the option tyres to his car.
We can fine with Buemi and we get past him as well. Light the rears up, trying to get the power down. Save it. But we are losing time on Paul di Resta.
Now's a good time to pit.
We lose the rear. We're going to have to come in now as Perez goes past us.
There's damage to his front wing.
I think has hit the wall.
The tyres are really starting to wear. Watch the grip levels.
Hate how quickly these tyres fall apart.
This guy, you're faster in sectors 2 and 3.
Hopefully that's not going to cost me points at the end of it. Maldonado will go past. Ambrosio's 12th. They're all going to need to come in again.
You're free to rejoin the track. The track is clear.
Adrian Sutil's then. Should get back past the Force India. paying too much attention to what's going on in the pit lane, but we moved back up into P9, so somebody else came in as well. And we're still able to grab a couple of spots from those guys that were with us.
Adisswanto's just posted a new fastest lap.
Adisswanto's flying up ahead. See, he out of sequence with the rest of us. Heidfeld is in the pits. If we can get back past Heidfeld here, it's going to be close, but we might. We do. Alright.
That's 8 places up from our race prediction. Great job. Keep it up.
The Resta stays in front of us, so he's likely to be getting a podium here. Schumacher in the lead at the moment, and if he stays there, it doesn't drop it, he's going to be winning this race. Buemi in the pits. And Petrol. We jump any of them. Go to P5.
One of the Virgin cars just ahead of you.
Maldonado still up ahead of us. Currently in third. So does that put Barrichello in second? Update, not Barrichello. He's way back. It is Jaime Alguersuari. But Schumacher, Alguersuari and Maldonado yet to make their 4th stop, because I assume everybody's making 4 here. Maldonado, I might be in range of. Alguersuari, maybe not. Could easily be a Schumacher, Alguersuari, De Resta podium. Alguersuari though is in. I think he's probably come straight back out in front of us because there's nobody in the pits now. Yeah, Alguersuari does stay well ahead of us. How far ahead of us is Maldonado? Nick Heidfeld has a think about it. Just block him off. Maldonado's in. Currently still in the box as we round the final corner, so we'll move back into P4 and ahead of our rival.
We're really competitive, well above where we expected
actually fallen out of the points. Everybody else is behind us now, 4th down to probably Maldonado in 11th. Really now just is being the cork in the bottle for the next couple of laps. I'm currently still feeling alright. A lap and a half or so to go. Take it as steady as we can. Running P4 still.
We need to pick up the pace. The car behind's closing in.
Final lap's going to be tough. Here we are. Final lap of the Grand Prix for only the 2nd time this season is actually the final lap of the race. We're not a lap down. rears are shot and we're trying to defend P4. Basically everybody else that can score points. Michael Schumacher wins his first victory since his comeback. It will be Alguersuari in second, De Resta in third. Unless, of course, they both decide to crash out on the final lap. We are essentially just sort of tiptoeing our way to the end. Trying not to spin up the rears. We got an almighty start. Second by the time we got down to the Singapore sling. Alonso was the man leading and he was a mile away in front. We were defending from the likes of Vettel and Webber and Massa and Button and Hamilton. Heidfeld has a look. The curb, that's not what we want to be doing. Still holding Heidfeld off into the final corner. We're going to cross the line in P4. What a result that is for Team Lotus.
Great result, a solid points finish.
Schumacher wins the race from Alguersuari and De Resta. We finish fourth ahead of a Lotus Renault with Nick Heidfeld, Kobayashi in sixth. Then it's Sutil. Maldonado also gets points. So we now all have points. Ninth goes to Perez. 10th is Buemi. Petrov is out of the points in P11. And then it's D'Ambrosio, Glock, Kartike and Trulli behind Liuzzi. 16 finishers. Barrichello, Alonso, Rosberg, Massa, Webber, Vettel, Hamilton and Button all out of the Singapore Grand Prix. And I was trying to describe in the final lap what our race was, but it was just too much trying to hold off the oncoming horde. We got a mega start. We were second by the Singapore Sling. We were behind Fernando Alonso, who just drove off into the distance, defending from the Red Bulls and the McLarens and Massa, who all then just dropped out all of a sudden. We led the race at one point when Fernando Alonso retired. We lost position to Schumacher. Alguersuari, with a different strategy, got ahead of us. De Resta did as well. But then we just held off everybody else to take a fantastic P4 and probably our only points of 2011. But if that's our only points, that is one hell of a way to score them. What does that mean in the driver standings? Well, we've moved from 19th up to 16th. We're ahead of Sutil and Maldonado and Barrichello. Sutil and Maldonado both scoring points in this round as well. D'Ambrosio, Glock, Kartike and Trulli, Liuzzi with 8 points. We are now 5 points behind Buemi and 7 behind Paul de Resta. At the top of the standings, no changes. No points for Vettel, none for Alonso, none for Webber, none for Button, none for Hamilton, none for Massa. All of whom stay exactly where they are. 10 points separate the top two, and then it's a 6-point gap between second and third, and a 19-point gap between fourth and third, and then quite the gap between Button and Hamilton. Schumacher, though, closes on Massa. He is now, 18? My maths is terrible. 26 behind Felipe Massa. Petrov jumps Rosberg, who didn't finish. Perez is in 10th. Alguersuari moves up to 11th ahead of Heidfeld. Kobayashi there, De Resta also scoring well. And there we are, P16 in the driver's standings, which is more than you could possibly ask for in this car, I think. What does that mean for the constructors as well? Well, we jump Williams, who've only got 5 points. We're now 9th in the constructors' standings. Virgin Racing and HRT, the only teams with 8 points so far this season. At the top, again, Ferrari, Red Bull and McLaren don't score. Mercedes do and score a few more points and pull a little further ahead of Lotus Renault. Then it's Sauber, Toro Rosso, Force India, and Team Lotus. And with not many rounds left, we might be able to beat an established team. Shame it's Williams if it is, but we might be able to beat them. Thank you so much for watching Singapore. What an insane race that was. So much happened, so many cars didn't finish, and that gifted us an absolutely incredible result. We seem to just be able to hold everybody off, just have enough pace to do that. And we take a 4th place finish in Singapore. It's our best result of the season by far. It is quite easily probably going to be our only points of this season, with Japan, Korea, India, Brazil and Abu Dhabi to come. But what a result. What an absolutely incredible result after what happened in Monza as well. We've come to Singapore, started in P18 and come home in P4. We're going to come crashing back down to earth in Japan. I can see it already, but hopefully you'll join me for that. Like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the good stuff. I shall see you for the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now. Get in.